Okay, let's get started.
Welcome. I am Dorinda Darden, Interim Director of the Buffalo and Erie County Public Library. Thank you for attending this public engagement session for the Central Library Space Utilization Study. On behalf of the library and the Board of Trustees, we appreciate your interest in this project and your support of the Buffalo and Erie County Public Library. Tonight, we are specifically addressing the Central Library Space Utilization Study draft, which focuses only on the inside of the library. Our project goal is to create flexible spaces that enhance the library's commitment to intellectual freedom and free access while realizing our vision to be a vibrant, profoundly public destination. And yes, your opinions matter. After months of site visits and conversations with Central Library staff and library administration, we are excited for our consultants at Boswick Design Partnership to share their preliminary findings and recommendations with you this evening. We are recording this session. Closed captioning and live transcription is also available. We are asking all of you as a valued community member to share your thoughts on this draft plan. There will be an opportunity for questions and comments during this session. So please input your questions in the Q&A at any point during the presentation, and they will be addressed at the end. Again, thank you for your dedication to the Buffalo and Erie County Public Library. Together, we can ensure that the Central Library remains deeply rooted in our community's future. And now I will turn over the presentation to Rick Ortmeyer, partner at Boswick Design Partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorinda. We're going to start with a brief introduction of the planning team members who have joined us this evening, and then we will get right into the content. So again, my name is Rick Ortmeyer. I'm a partner with Bostwick Design Partnership. We're an architectural planning and design firm headquartered in Cleveland, Ohio, with offices in Erie and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I lead all of our planning and design projects, which now includes over 100 consulting and planning projects across the country, in the east from Philadelphia to St. Louis, and from the north, Lake Erie, all the way down to some projects in Florida. So I have had the benefit of 30 years of working with public librarians, and that includes central library planning experience in Philadelphia and Rochester, in Cleveland and Akron and Youngstown and Fort Wayne. So we are grateful and proud to be able to bring a lot of relevant experience that we can build on to inform the plan here in Buffalo. Megan?
Hi, I'm Megan Duchek. I'm from Bostwick, also based in Cleveland. I'm the practice leader for library design, and I've been focused on library planning and design for over 12 years now. Grateful to have worked on a range of projects from master plans and feasibility studies to additions and renovations and new buildings as well.
And June Garcia.
Good evening. My name is June Garcia. I am a public librarian, the former director of the San Antonio Public Library, when we created our new Central Library. For the past 20 plus years, I've been a full-time library consultant and had the opportunity and pleasure to work with Bostwick Partnership on numerous library projects, many of which Rick mentioned. So we're glad to be here with you tonight.
Thanks. So before we begin, I just want to reinforce Dorinda's message and restate the goal. Tonight, we will be sharing our initial recommendations to reconfigure the Central Library. And specifically, this is designed to get your comments and suggestions. And for those joining us live, the Zoom setup will not allow us to engage in dialogue directly, but as Dorinda pointed out, you can leave questions and comments by hitting the QA button. I think you might also be able to raise a digital hand, but we'll be focusing only on the comments and the questions put in the QA box. Erin from the library will be monitoring that, and she'll be helping curate those and facilitate the question and answer at the end. And feel free to, if you choose to comment, feel free to also share where you're joining us from in the city, in the region, or wherever in the country you might be joining. Okay, so I'm going to get into our presentation. So We share the mission and vision of the library as a reminder of our commitment to reinforce the priorities of the library system. As we consider the options available to us, we use these records of the library's civic purpose as our North Star in decision making. They've also included more timely strategic target areas, and these are shared with the county and with the residents of Erie County and the administrators within Erie County. And these 4 target areas have risen to the top as priority areas that are also very specific and helpful as we think about what work we're doing and what priorities it may address. As planners, we really believe that whatever recommendation we make should always be reinforcing the promises that the library is making to you, the community it serves. So Megan and June and I are representing a subset of a much larger team that has been assembled and selected by the library to take this study on. It includes additional specialists, some of those focusing on technology or building systems and security and furniture. And the work of all these subject matter experts will be incorporated into the final document, and the report timing on that we'll touch on later. So any big undertaking requires a clear structure to put all of the meetings and tasks and deliverables into a context. So our planning process had a lot of logistical complexity, but we can summarize it in these 3 parts that are outlined here. First, we discover, we learn, we tour and we listen and we engage with staff to gain the insights and the understanding of the decades of experience and the dedication of public service. And we get that through the staff and their commitment to the work they do, and also through meetings like this to get the community's perspective. And when we've gained a well-informed understanding of the challenges and the opportunities that this building provides us, we analyze ways to address the challenges, and then we seek ways to align those solutions with the library's strategic goals that we just outlined in the last couple of slides. And we're doing a little bit of both now. We're engaging and we are sharing some of the alignment ideas that we're starting with as we consider recommendations. And once complete, we'll prepare a document that allows us to share the recommendations and the recommendations of the library leadership with the community for shared understanding and deeper engagement. So this shows a high-level timeline. As Dorinda mentioned, this has been months in the making to get to this point. How that process that we outlined has been scheduled over time. So starting back in April, we started what we call our discovery phase, and we learned a lot from staff through the summertime before we were in a position where we had been informed enough to start thinking about creating some recommendations. And so what we're reviewing this evening is the recommendations in draft form, because we're at a point where we have something meaningful to share and we want to gain more input and feedback before finalizing. So the other thing I want to share is that the presentation this evening has been formalized in a document that we call the public comment draft of the Central Library Space Utilization Study. This document can be found in full PDF form by going to the Buffalo and Erie County Public Library website, and you can find a link on the homepage and easily navigate to this. And we encourage you to see all the details that are included in that report. This presentation includes the same visuals that you'll find when you visit that report, but we're providing a narrative version of the explanation where the report will provide that in text form. With that, I'll let Megan talk about our first phase of work.
Thanks. So we'll be starting with the discovery, assessment, and engagement phase. So during May and June of this year, we conducted site visits documenting the existing conditions of the Central Library. So the visuals you'll see will be about documenting those existing conditions, but it was also a great way to have frontline staff be our guides, let us know what they are aware of is working well, what has been challenging, and how they see the ability of their spaces to support library services. So looking at the current layout of the building, we have an aerial view here on the left just to help locate the building within downtown Buffalo. You can see the existing contexts, some of the adjacent streets, but also noting that Ellicott Street bisects the ground floor of the library in the north-south direction, and with the 3 floors above spanning over it. So a quick overview of each of the floors. On the ground floor, our study is focusing on east of Ellicott Street, which is dedicated primarily to non-public support spaces. So looking at the ground floor, we can go back to the ground floor. Yeah. So if you've been here, if you've been familiar with the library, you recognize the entry experience. It has more of the public space that's really to access the upper floors by elevator. There are existing elevators that are escalators that have shown signs of wear, so there's ongoing progress to repair those and get them back in working order. But the remaining of the space on the ground floor is inaccessible to the public, provides necessary support spaces for Central Library and the rest of the library system. There's also 2 mission-aligned nonprofit organizations on the ground floor. One is the Homeless Alliance of Western New York, and the other is Project Flight. So here on the first floor, this is the majority of the Central Library's public service spaces. It has the most prominent and the main public entrance to the library. You can see with that red arrow to the left of the floor plan. And so some of you may be familiar with these spaces, but wanted to give a high-level tour of the program areas that are on this floor. So when you immediately walk in, there's the security and circulation functions. The entrance experience has shifted over the years just as a response from the library to different incidents that they've dealt with. There's also the newly created and dedicated teen space right adjacent to the entry as well. So if you move further into the space, there's the launch pad, which is the library's maker space, a dedicated meeting room called the West Room. And then also, as you move farther in, there's the adult service spaces, special collections, the Grosvenor Room there as well. In between the Grosvenor Room and the children's room is the Ring of Knowledge, which is exhibition space and also accommodates presentations and gatherings. And then at the end of the floor, it's really the balance of the adult spaces. So you have seating areas, adult collection, and the public computers. So looking here at the images, starting from the top row going left to right, you can see this is the adult services information desk. There's also the Ring of Knowledge there on the center of the top row. And then on the right is the, you can see the public computers for the adult. Just below this is the special collections, more of the adult spaces in the center, and then Launchpad as well. So then looking at the second floor, visitors can either go up from elevator on the west side or through the elevators or some of the existing stairways on the west side. So if you go up on the, or on the east side. So if you go up on the west side, you enter into the gallery space. So there's an area that can highlight different collections in the Central Library. There's also a conference room as well. But the balance of this space is inaccessible to the public currently. It did benefit from asbestos abatement, but it was determined that couldn't be occupied in a code compliant way because the original stair doesn't exit to the exterior. So a goal of the project or of the study is to find a meaningful way to use this space. The other public areas on the second floor include the central meeting room. You can see over there on the east side, the large central meeting room, and then also the techno lab as well. The remaining spaces in gray are the administrative suite and other non-public support spaces. So you can see some images of the second floor. Starting at the top left, you have the entry coming up from one of the stairs, the techno lab, and then you can see there on the right on the top row is that unoccupied space right now with a great view of downtown. Just below that is the gallery space. And then you can see the entrance from the elevator, from the gallery space, and then the central meeting room as well.
Thanks, Megan.
Mm-hmm.
So with a tour of the existing conditions and our months-long understanding from the staff perspective and visiting the spaces in person and seeing them in use. We're now going to share our initial recommendations. I want to reinforce that all of what we're going to look at has been co-created by library leadership and the department leaders and the frontline staff, all of whose input shape this in a way that isn't just qualitative improvement. It's not just making it prettier, but this plan will also work to serve the community better and achieve the library's strategic goals. So if we start on the proposed ground floor, this is the central hub, as Megan pointed out. This is the central hub for the Buffalo and all the affiliated library systems across the county. Most of this level remains limited to the necessary functional and logistical staff spaces, including all the deliveries, and a lot of space dedicated to building systems. One relocation is proposed as to relocate Project Flight into a slightly smaller area, which allows a central area to be repopulated by some other internal staff departments that will benefit from co-location and a reconnection to this space on the north end of the building on the ground floor, which is a internal driveway for loading and unloading. The balance of the space will be proposed to be updated, but will be an improved version of the ground floor entrance adjacent to the Elcott Street public transit hub outside. So we're going to focus a lot on the first floor where a lot of the change is proposed. So again, the Washington Street exterior plaza is to the left. And this main entrance is the primary way for visitors and patrons and even staff in many cases to arrive. So the proposed changes will, the primary goal was to better welcome all visitors from this entrance. And a big part of that is to reconfigure this in a way that allows the appropriate amount of space for each function, where currently things have gotten a bit squeezed in this entrance experience. So one way to do this, one way that we're accommodating this is to allow spaces to move up to the second floor. This gray box in the corner is a stairway. We'll talk about that more when we get up to the second floor. But one goal is to allow the security function to happen with a bit more ease and allow this to happen without the same current conflict it has with the circulation service desk, which is currently located right where the cursor is. So in order to do that, we're moving circulation just a few feet farther into the space. This is currently, for those familiar with this space, is where the launch pad is. So this is the maker space and recording studios. Circulation will shift here, which will allow visitors to get through security without having to backtrack to talk to someone, that this will be a destination straight ahead. Security will continue to hone and improve the experience that they're creating to make the building more safe, but also more welcoming. The teen space will remain in place as a recent investment. Will essentially leave this as an example of some of the new amenities that the library is capable of providing the community. Once you've arrived here, things will feel a little bit different because with the launch pad moving, a lot of the associated storage and infrastructure that used to support the cafe, which is no longer in existence, can be removed and open up this space similarly to how the building was occupied originally. These were all built in over time to support the cafe and support storage for the launch pad. What's intended here now is an open landscape, and you can see the color-coded colors on the left, so that the Ring of Knowledge will be relocated from its current location here by the elevator. And then adult services will occupy this space along with new materials. This is intended to be a flexible space where a lot of new materials, browsing, collection, and displays can allow both the destination for people to draw them into the building, but also can be reconfigurable for small events. By removing these barriers and removing the permanent part of the Ring of Knowledge and moving it here, and we'll show some pictures in a minute about how that might feel, then your experience here to self-navigate, you'll be able to see much farther into the building than you can today. And you'll actually also be able to see the Grosvenor Room in a way that you cannot see today because of the Ring of Knowledge and some of the other infrastructure that's in the way. We're proposing that the Grosvenor Room in Special Collections expands a little bit in place. We're going to reconfigure staff spaces to make better use of some new scanning equipment and other improvements that are overdue. And we're also going to include an in-department meeting space. Adult services will also be reconfigured in place. One of the things we're proposing is to move the public access computers up with the other technology associated with the launch pad. And the other thing that has been missing in the library is to create a lot of new meeting spaces of varying sizes. There's a few good meeting rooms today and some collaboration spaces, but none of them are really outfitted to provide the technology that meets 21st century expectations. So what might this look like? Well, it's too soon to do actual renderings, but we're showing examples of libraries from other parts of the country that have done versions of this that we can use as references, not answers, not recommendations, but just examples of how other folks have chosen to do it. So when we think about circulation and security, we want to provide opportunities to orient people with technology and kind of intuitive wayfinding and reconfigurable wayfinding in ways that are consistent with both other libraries, but other hospitality institutions that are focused on customer service. And then the circulation service point, there's lots of great examples to give both visitors and patrons the room to check out with privacy, but also the staff to operate with better functionality. And when we think about how new materials and the Ring of Knowledge may be outfitted, it's going to be a lot of flexible, reconfigurable furniture so that the library can relocate and reconfigure things with examples like these, including reconfigurable seating that locks down for temporary means of making it stationary, but can also be moved out of the way or reconfigured as the need changes. And if you think about spaces that can allow for the kind of ad hoc or I'd say in space presentations that happen at the Ring of Knowledge, there's other examples and ways we can do that on the floor. When we think about how to improve special collections, a lot of what we're thinking about is to help the staff both tend to the remarkable depth of collections that are here and improve the ability to care for the collections, both behind the scenes, but also we want to make this easier for residents of Erie County and from around the globe to find and learn from and enjoy the remarkable collections that exist here in Buffalo. And then the balance of adult services is going to be largely allowing the space to move to a bit more visible space. This building has such high ceilings and great views of downtown and tall windows that one of the ways we can take advantage of that is to find shelving solutions that don't compromise the right amount of collections, but improve visibility and improve access to the great daylight that you have access to with some new furniture solutions. And meeting rooms of all kinds of types can be outfitted in various places on the first floor. There's some existing spaces along the east wall of adult services that I think will allow configurations such as the one in the upper right hand corner, where we can have a bank of varying size meeting rooms that don't sacrifice visibility uh, uh, and the ability for staff to help monitor and help people who need it, but also provide privacy and technology. There's also furniture solutions that can allow for ad hoc meetings or some level of privacy, even in the open floor space, which happens with some events that the library hosts in the open floor today. So if we move upstairs, again, the bulk of the public service space is on the first floor, but the big goal here on the second floor and the biggest change is to occupy the space at the west end, which is currently unoccupiable. And the way we can do that is create a new code compliant fire stair in the southwest corner. This will continue on through the first floor and ultimately exit onto Clinton Street to the south through an existing door at street level below. With that stair in place, the goal is to move the launch pad and the makerspace and the recording studios up into this area. And we'll show some examples of what that might look like in a minute. And then to co-locate tech-based services, we will relocate the public access computers from the first floor so that there's a continuum of technology access in the library immediately accessible off of this elevator. We also plan to relocate the Techno Lab, which is currently kind of sometimes a little bit hard to find, tucked away in a corner that is surrounded by staff space. We're thinking the Techno Lab can move to a more public space. And then similar to the first floor, these blue boxes indicate areas where we can invest in new and improved and sort of 21st century ready meeting spaces of varying sizes. The conference room at the center, adjacent to the gallery, will remain. It's the newest and nicest of the conference rooms that exist. And the Buffalo Presidential Center will also remain. As Megan pointed out, the balance of this floor is staff space, which will receive targeted and incremental improvements. But mostly we want to focus with your attention on the public spaces. So again, what might that look like? With the launch pad and the makerspace, we can have a combination of recording studios. There's a couple there now, but we can have dedicated video, dedicated audio, some podcast studios. There's a range of different sizes we can provide with the space available. And we can accommodate in the balance of that space both high tech and low tech making. So one of the things that's lacking now on the first floor is adequate space to both have the proper space to do an art project and do it socially with others, and then have access to things that might otherwise have to be in storage on the first floor because there's just not room. Again, similar to the first floor, the meeting spaces on this level will accommodate 21st century expectations. And these are a few examples that just show varying size meeting rooms, mostly larger size meeting rooms. But we can also think about how we can build in meeting spaces that aren't necessarily enclosed, but still allow the opportunity for informal gathering in alcoves. And for public access computers, this remains a critical public service for the main library, for the central library. And we want to improve this in ways that allows the configuration to maximize the effectiveness of the use of public computers, but still balance the goal for individual quiet and privacy with the need for appropriate care and monitoring by staff. So this was a pretty high level tour. Again, I encourage you to dive a little deeper with the PDF that's available. And what's going to happen next? So after we gain your input, we'll be in a position to start finalizing the report. But in the meantime, I want to encourage all of you to visit the PDF that is the more formal full report online. Excuse me. And also, please take the public survey, which can be navigated. This QR code will take you there. Excuse me. But you can also navigate to the survey from the homepage of the library's website. So we think the survey will be available through the rest of November. And we look forward to your feedback now, but we also look forward to you encouraging others to join in that feedback online. Last, we'd just like to thank for the input and the time of all the leadership of the library and everyone who has helped create the work we've seen to date and who will help us in the future.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay, so we do have a few questions in the Q&A. We encourage anyone who has further questions to put them in there, and we'll kind of plan to go through them in order. I am going to summarize this one. And This person, I see the incredible potential that the currently unused cafe space has as a reimagined participation-based cafe. Participation-based cafes, like the public library, welcome patrons regardless of their current needs and privileges by expanding the definition of payment. For example, diners may volunteer their time in exchange for a meal. So that is a comment about potentially using that cafe space. If you want to expand on thoughts about that area.
Thanks for that question. I'll offer an initial thought, and I appreciate that someone highlighted it because there's been a lot of dialogue about how to provide the appropriate and sustainable food service within the library. A lot of libraries have struggled to keep food service viable with vendors in many libraries. Some have turned to vending options and high quality vending options, but this is a new opportunity that's been outlined in the question that I think we can consider with the group as we move the project forward.
Okay. Does any of this improve storage for the collection beneath the library?
I'll offer that if anyone remembers the diagram that Megan showed, this library is unique in that it's kind of a layer cake, in that there's a ground floor of public space and staff space, and then a layer of stacks that is an extensive part of the library's collection, and then the first floor of public space, and then another layer of stacks that's a full 2 blocks long. So there hasn't been a proposed deep investment in that. The priority is public space. However, there has been discussion of a few targeted improvements specific to the rare and valuable collections where we can improve both the quality of the storage and the quality of the mechanical systems and electrical systems that serve those valuable collections. They're in a great and uniquely capable vault now, but as those collections grow, we may need to expand the footprint of the systems that serve those collections properly.
I may have missed the context of this, but the question is literally cooking? Question mark.
Well, I think if I'm inferring that someone might be familiar with other spaces, either in libraries or other educational spaces, where there is what some call culinary literacy, like cooking classes and teaching about food making. There has been some discussion about that, and I think the current plan would be that one or several of the meeting spaces might be capable of accommodating a roll-in cart for culinary literacy and those kinds of classes. We have not yet discussed what would be a significant investment in both room cost and infrastructure to support it, which would be like a full-blown teaching kitchen, which exists in some places, but there are a lot of really great, effective cooking teaching solutions that I have learned from June and others that are well deployed in other library locations. And I think it's something we can certainly add to the dialogue about how do we create a space that best receives that kind of function.
Okay. Again, I'm going to summarize this next one. But thank you for your mention of the Buffalo Presidential Center, which has attracted nearly 1,000 visitors a year. We support plans to draw more visitors to the second floor.
We're with you.
Next, we have, I really love the expansion of creative space. What does this mean for the existing physical collection?
someone on the library may choose to add on to this. I would say that one of the benefits related to the question earlier about the collection spaces between the public floors is that somewhat uniquely in a large central library, this library doesn't really have a storage problem right now. I would say that there's no intent to reduce the access to the collections or reduce the public collections. I would say that the technology expansion is primarily expanding into space that is currently not occupied. As we like to sort of reference it, it's the most beautiful storage room in all of Buffalo. And we have the opportunity to actually make that occupied space without actually reducing any collection space on the first floor.
And yep, Rick, I would agree with that. Thank you.
Okay. Next, I appreciate the thought put into keeping access to books on shelves. The most unique feature of a library is the ability to scan books as they sit on shelves, pick them up as they catch your eye, and sit down to peruse them. So that's just a nice comment as well. Okay, we'll look out for more questions. Oh. Will there be greater environmental controls with the upgrades?
There will. I will use this opportunity to also compliment the library and particularly the facility staff of the library for maintaining in many cases original equipment from the 1960s in a condition that still serves the public and the staff well today. That said, there are aspects of that equipment that are reaching or have reached their useful life or their efficiency lifespan. And it is our intent that as we phase improvements throughout the spaces, that we have a mechanical engineer who's very familiar with the library, who is doing a deep dive on the systems and um, the eventual phased improvements will include updates to temperature and humidity control, both targeted for special collections, but just in general for all the public service areas and seating and staff areas. And also better access to power and Wi-Fi.
All right. This feels like a very big idea. How realistic is it that any or all of this can actually be put into motion?
Well, I will say that the invitation that the library published to invite architectural teams was very clear on the fact that resources are, let's say that the library is not overburdened with too much budget to establish these, so we have to be very judicious about how we go about it. I will say that some viewers, and I know the library will remember that about maybe 12 to 15 years ago, there was another very ambitious and aspirational master plan that while I would say it included a lot of great opportunities and a lot of great ideas to move the building forward, it ultimately suffered from what this question points to, which is it was unaffordable and ultimately unfundable. So part of our goal is to break the project down into individual feasible improvements that that can be funded over time, and the funding sources is something that maybe the library could respond to, and the duration and the quantity of a budget required for each phase is something that once we agree that the current direction is appropriate and the community agrees with the staff and team recommendations, we will start analyzing this to put numbers to individual phases. And then the intent is for each phase to be accomplishable in an achievable, budgetable fashion over time.
Will the library need to close during the renovations?
The goal for us is that the library would not close, that each phase may and would necessarily close certain areas of the building to get renovated, but that we would do this renovation in a way that would not require the building to close. I'll say some precedents include some work that we've done in the Free Library of Philadelphia, which had phased improvements, none of which closed the entire library. Also in Rochester, New York, there was some phased improvements. We did the master plan. We didn't oversee the individual phases, but the building stayed open while phased improvements happened throughout the building. The benefit is the building is big enough where you can do a fair amount of work without having a major impact on access.
That is everything in the Q&A. So I would encourage if anyone has any questions rolling around in their mind, we do still have some time for you to type that in. You can do so anonymously as well. I'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah. And also take this time to thank the just more than 80 people who have already chosen in the time that the survey has been up to fill out the survey. And I hope everyone here, if they haven't already, will also, in addition to the QA and the comments we're hearing live, will encourage you and others that you know to visit that survey and provide feedback that way, because we will read all the answers and we will take into account what we hear. Great ideas come from everywhere, so we're looking for that input.
Are there any more questions?
One just came in. Are there copies of the survey in the library for people to fill out?
I'll have to pass that one back to the library team.
The question was, are there copies of the survey for people to fill out?
Yeah.
If we don't have any, we'll definitely get some. It'll be in our circulation and information services desk. Yes.
Wouldn't it also be possible to use a library computer to access the survey that way online?
Absolutely.
So,
Well, if there's no more questions, I would like to thank you for participating in this public engagement session. Your questions and feedback will inform the final version of the Central Library Space Utilization Study. If you would like additional ways to engage in this project, there's also a public survey, which we mentioned, currently posted on our website. Please provide your thoughts on the public comment draft. Future updates and opportunities for engagements will also be posted on a dedicated project page on the Buffalo and Erie County Public Library's website at www.buffalolib.org. I hope this session will be a starting point for a continued dialogue. We look forward to engaging with you in the months to come as we reimagine the Central Library. So thank you, everyone. If we don't have any more questions, have a good night.